The United States is the country with the largest number of transcontinental flights. In other words, a flight that travels across the continent, hence the name, connecting one end to the other. Now, when you think of such a flight, examples that might immediately come to mind include routes like New York to LA and New York to San Francisco. These are the most premium domestic routes in the entire country, on which airlines advertise elevated services compared to other domestic routes. However, the premiumness, if that's even a word, is limited to just these specific flights. There are countless other transcon routes in the US, but unfortunately, the services offered on these flights are nothing special. In today's video, we'll be flying on one of these quote-unquote ordinary transcon routes with Delta Air Lines on the Airbus A321. It's my first time ever taking a transcontinental flight, and I'm glad you're joining me as we travel from Los Angeles to Atlanta. Let's go. We begin today's video at Tom Bradley International Terminal, which primarily caters to international flights at LAX. Ironically enough, my inbound flight from Dallas on American Airlines arrived here instead of Terminal 4, and I spent the majority of my layover here in Tom Bradley. Unfortunately, that American Airlines flight was delayed for almost 3 hours, which turned my original 4-hour layover at LAX into just 1 hour. Thankfully though, I had planned ahead. It was actually earlier that morning before I left home that I received a message saying my American Airlines flight would be delayed. Thus, not wanting to risk anything, I made sure to change my flights out of LAX to the next available timings. My original plan to leave LAX was to take the 1 a.m. Delta Flight 527 to Atlanta, from where I'd connect onto Flight 488 to Chicago. The next available flight wasn't until 5 a.m., but I had no other choice than to take this option. So now I'd be leaving on Flight 559 to Atlanta and then connecting onto Flight 2738 to Chicago. Coming out of the pandemic, airlines these days love to brag that they've completely eliminated change fees. Now, when you hear something like that, you get the impression that, if needed, you can change your original flight to a different one completely free of charge. That's actually not true. It would be free of charge if the original ticket price of the flight you're wanting to change to is the same as your original flight. So let's say I booked a ticket for $189. If this 2 p.m. option was also $189, then there would be no change fees. But because it's $269, I would have to pay the difference in fare if I were to change to this itinerary, which would be $80. But let's say I wanted to take this earlier 9:15 a.m. option, that's $160. It's $29 cheaper than the ticket I originally bought, so in this case, I believe I'd get offered some sort of travel credit for the difference in fare price. Now, before you ask, yes, I did have to pay extra to change my flights. How much exactly, I'll reveal at the end of the video. Delta Airlines operate out of Terminals 2 and 3 at LAX, which unfortunately are not connected to Tom Bradley yet, but will be soon. More on that later. Terminals 4, 5, 6, and 7 are all interconnected, and they also connect via walkway to Tom Bradley. Terminals 1, 2, and 3 are also interconnected, but they do not connect to the rest of the airport. Passengers wanting to connect from Tom Bradley to Terminals 1, 2, 3, or vice versa have two options. You can either leave the secure area and walk between terminals, or take the interterminal shuttle bus that connects Tom Bradley to Terminal 3. Now, the shuttle bus seems like the best option, and normally it would be, since you don't have to re-clear security. Unfortunately for me, the shuttles stop running at 11 p.m. and don't start running again till 5 a.m. Thus, I had no choice but to leave the secure area at Tom Bradley and walk to Terminal 3, which only took around 5 minutes. Delta recently completed a massive renovation project at Terminal 3, and if you think this check-in hall looks good, wait till you see the actual airside portion. I had already checked in online, so I proceeded straight upstairs to the security checkpoint. Well, at least I tried. It's currently 3:15 a.m. and the checkpoints don't open till 4 a.m., so I waited in the check-in hall for a bit until they opened. I was one of the first people to clear the checkpoint this morning and was through in literally less than 5 minutes. Our flight to Atlanta today departs from Gate 32B, part of the newly opened satellite concourse at Terminal 3 that houses gates 30 to 39. The opening of this new concourse is part of Delta's Skyway Terminal Modernization project at LAX, and as you can see, they're almost done with it. All that's left now is to finish the Terminal 2 renovation and also construct a physical connector across to Terminal B, aka Tom Bradley. So once this is complete, you'll be able to walk amongst all of the terminals at LAX. Terminals 2 and 3, in addition to housing Delta, are also home to partner airlines Aeromexico and WestJet. This new expansion in Terminal 3 is fantastic, and while some parts are still under construction, there are some shops and food places on offer, in addition to plenty of seating and workstations. This will be my first flight on a Delta A321, and our aircraft today is November 327 Delta November. This A321 is a little over 5 years old, and fun fact, it was actually built at the Airbus factory in Mobile, Alabama. So it'll also be my first time ever flying an Airbus plane built right here in the US. As you can imagine, it's quite early in the morning, and as such, most of the food places in the terminal are not open. To my pleasant surprise, the gate agents opened a small snack bar in the gate area and offered complimentary snacks to all passengers, including chips, granola bars, and cookies, which was such an amazing gesture from them. Boarding started relatively on time, and today I would be in Zone Main 3, which is the last boarding group for main cabin passengers. Delta operates a fleet of 127 A321-200s, which seat 191 passengers. There are 20 seats in first class, 29 in Comfort Plus, and 142 in main cabin. Today I'm in the back of the aircraft in seat 37A. These main cabin seats are really nice with adjustable headrests and good padding. Each seat comes with a personal entertainment screen that also has a headphone jack and USB port. Below is the tray table with a rather interesting latch design. All the way at the bottom are 2 seat pockets, with the smaller one being for in-flight literature and a larger one for personal belongings. Legroom is around 31 inches, which is pretty standard, although it may feel a bit restricted with a large bag in front, and also considering there's a small box for the in-flight entertainment system right by your foot. There are also 2 universal power outlets and another set of USB ports for every 3 seats located below. And then above each seat are personal reading lights, air vents, and call buttons. Unlike my original 1 a.m. flight to Atlanta that went out completely full, this 5 a.m. flight had quite a few open seats, and I actually ended up getting all 3 seats to myself, which was really nice, especially for this near 4-hour flight across the country. Complimentary earphones were offered upon boarding, but I actually had my own pair from some previous Delta flights I took back in August. The sound quality, while of course not noise cancelling, was still pretty solid.
Pay attention to this important safety message. Be sure that all carry-on items are securely stowed in an overhead bin and place smaller items, including handbags, under the seat in front of you.
If you lose your electronic devices,
Then insert the metal tip into the buckle and adjust the strap so it's low and tight across the wrap. To release the belt, just slip the top of the buckle.
Delta's in-flight entertainment system doesn't feature a physical remote, so you can only control it by touching the screen. Regardless, the system works beautifully and of course features plenty of entertainment options that will keep you satisfied. There's also a nice flight information tab that shows the exact aircraft you're flying, airport information, and of course the interactive 2D moving map. I was quite tired after being up pretty much all night, so after this clip, I fell asleep for the next hour. I woke up as we were crossing the Texas Panhandle, right as the snack service began. I opted for orange juice as my choice of drink, and for the snacks there were 4 options. I asked for a granola bar and the cookies, to which the flight attendant replied, "Oh yeah, for sure," and happily handed me both of them. The cookies, as always, were fantastic. However, the lemon coconut granola bar, I can't say I'll ever eat that again. Unlike American Airlines, Delta doesn't make you sit through any ads before watching your show. As you can see, I decided to watch the timeless classic, Rush Hour. Wi-Fi services are available on all Delta mainline aircraft. Messaging is completely free, however, internet access is a reasonable $5. Delta is currently rolling out a plan that makes internet access totally free for SkyMiles members in addition to T-Mobile customers. After a surprisingly quick flight across the American South, we began our descent into Delta's largest hub and world's busiest airport, Atlanta. Our approach today brought us over downtown Atlanta on downwind, before making a 180-degree turn and landing from the east onto runway 26 right. Living in Illinois, I don't get to fly Delta all that much as my loyalty is primarily split between American and United. But every time I do fly Delta, I'm always blown away by the service as, and I'm sorry to say this, it's just better than American and United. From the complimentary snacks in the gate area to the fantastic employees to the solid onboard product, Delta absolutely delivered today. And special shout out to our crew members on this flight. As you may have seen earlier, we had quite an interesting passenger on board who I could tell made the crew feel uncomfortable, yet they still managed to deal with him in such a professional manner without making a big deal. Great work from Delta. Now, as for how much I paid for this flight, I bought a one-way ticket from LAX to Chicago via Atlanta for $159. However, I only ended up paying $59 originally thanks to a $100 flight credit that I used. Unfortunately, because I changed my flights, I had to pay an additional fee that was the difference in fare prices between my new and original flights. That fee was $75, so in total my new ticket cost was $134. I actually ended up paying slightly more, ironically, because I selected a preferred seat on my connecting flight. But you're gonna have to stay tuned for the video from that flight to know the real total cost. Thanks so much for joining me on my first transcontinental flight. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like and comment, and if you're new to my channel, please subscribe for some really exciting videos coming very soon. That's all for today, folks, so take it easy, and I'll see you all again very soon. Goodbye.